Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm super glad to be able to be part of this as an overseas member. And I do a lot of keynotes and I do a lot of presentations. I think this is the first time in a very long time that I'm actually a little bit nervous because in the back there's my mother. So that's a new for me. But we're going to spend the next 10 minutes talking about innovation. And there is something that has shifted. And it's shifted fundamentally in terms of at least how I see innovation nowadays compared to only, I would say, a couple of months ago. And I think there are many of us who haven't really caught up with what this shift actually means. And the shift that I'm talking about is AI agents. As Oliver said, we're on an AI journey. We work a lot with AI agents. And the impact of agents in terms of innovation, I'm going to try to give a bit of our perspective on that. I come from a company named Imeto. We founded Imeto about 18 months ago in Stockholm, in Sweden. We are today around 60 engineers. We're a consultancy. We're experts in anything data and AI, and we work primarily in questions regarding how do we make sure that our companies out there, for us particularly in the Nordics, stay competitive and resilient in this time of AI. We had the opportunity to have a little chat between us, Gina and Vicky, before this started, and I said, it's interesting, it's exciting, it's somewhat overwhelming, but I have a team of 60 people that right now is going through an identity crisis almost every week. And what I mean by that is that as engineers, we have been used to coding. We've been experts in specific areas. We speak coding languages fluently. Since I would say probably mid-January, the absolute majority of my team have not written a single line of code. That's a major shift. What they're doing instead is that they're working with a lot of new coworkers, digital ones that are agents. They're managing teams of agents who are building and writing code for them. That's a really big shift. And there's a lot of stuff happening in this space right now. But what's interesting from a point of view in terms of innovation, I think it's interesting to understand what this means in terms of how we develop. And now this change in terms of agents and digital co-workers, it did hit us first in the IT and development domain. It's been going on for the past years, significant changes, I would say, in the past months. But what we're doing right now is that we're having individuals basically being able to build with the power of a team. And what that means is that we also have teams who now are able to develop things and software with the power of an organization, basically. So we're able to do things significantly faster than we've done before. So if you don't really know what an agent is, an agent composes of a lot of different components and modules. Many of you have probably tried out like ChatGPT or similar. So it's based on a large language model, and those have been around now for a couple of years. We know them. The difference between a large language model and an agent is that an agent can actually act and do things. And this is where we've seen significant technical development in the past couple of months. And when I talk about digital co-workers and digital teams, one of the most exciting things we're working on with one of our clients right now is that we're building up a marketing department out of agents. And so there's going to be one agent who's the CMO. There's going to be one agent who is head of content production. There's going to be, and that agent has a lot of sub agents that can produce stuff. There's an agent who's more of a research agent that's going out, looking at the web, looking at our customer service data, looking at feedback, gathering things that we might want to change in our product or being able to react to quicker. That is then shipped into an agent that has the role of being a project manager. That agent takes all of that input and creates tasks and things we should do. And then we have executional agents who pick up those tasks, produces that content, analyze the data, creates a segment, and can ship that to our actual marketing team. I don't know if this is comprehensible. It's almost not comprehensible for me, but this is crazy. This is a crazy shift in how we're working. And I know Gina is going to talk a bit about this more from a human perspective, but from a speed of development and iteration perspective, this is a significant shift. And I think one thing that's important when we talk about the agentic era, which we're in right now, and agentic development, is that a lot of the talk, at least around me, I know I'm well aware I'm living in this AI bubble, but a lot of the organizations we talk to, they approach this as a question of efficiency. So how can we be more productive? How can we be more efficient in our operations? That is one part. It's typically where you would start. But from an innovation point of view, and I think this is the biggest mind shift we have to take in terms of working together with agents and having agents as our coworkers, is that this is not only about efficiency. This has a lot to do about innovation. We're now able to test things that were not worth testing before. It took too much time or too much resources. We're able to build offerings or new product features that were too complex to do before, but now we can put a really big agentic team of figuring it out, and it's worth it. We're able to decrease our development cycles, which means that we can be way better in responding to customer needs or market trends or market shifts. Time of iteration and testing and learning, that's always been a really big part of innovation. So this superpower that we're now provided is really a power of innovation. Now, I think there's a couple of things that should be said when we talk about agents and the way that we work and support our clients. There are a couple of areas that become particularly clear when we start developing agentic teams. One of them is that we built our organizations and processes not at all, of course, for this speed of development. We built our organizations and processes around, specifically if we look at our larger enterprises, around making sure that we tick all the boxes for different steering committees, that we have all of the forums to map out all of the dependencies. And specifically, I would say in the Nordics, we're really good at making sure that everyone is informed about everything. That's been, I would say, a key to our success and innovation. We've been really good at sharing ideas and making sure that we collaborate across the organization, but those are complex and long processes. With agents, we need to be able to act and make decisions quicker because each individual now has the autonomy of a team. So how do we change our processes in order to lead in an era of agents? That's a really big thing right now. We're not set up in a way to manage this speed of innovation and this speed of development. The second thing is maybe more from a leadership point of view. So as maybe many of you know, and you might even have felt it, one of the key components of good innovation is often constraints. It's counterintuitive in many ways, but as we have constraints, for a specific task or a project, or there's challenges, that's when we start to innovate. Having clarity and structure in innovation is actually really important. One of the constraints that we've had previously has been resources in terms of time, development, technical resources. That's no longer a constraint. We can ship and build things very quickly nowadays. So we've removed one of the constraints that used to be one of the things that made us think differently and approach questions differently, try to solve for challenges and be innovative around challenges that are no longer challenges. What we need to understand is that even though this is not a question about efficiency, we are becoming very efficient. We are becoming really super powered by agents. And what happens then is that as leaders, it becomes very important to create clarity. We see particularly two different scenarios that are shaping in many organizations that adopt more and more agents. One of them is that we have coworkers who now realize that, great, I now have a team of agents who can do my work. You optimize for your own efficiency. That's, of course, a cultural thing as well, but that's one group. You have the other group where it's like, I'm super excited, I can build anything, and they ship things all the time without direction. So we build a lot of stuff, but maybe not the stuff that makes the difference for our company or that's worth building. So implying and leading with clarity and creating new constraints, creating connectivity in your organization around what matters and where you're heading, and being able to lead your team, but also for your team and individuals now to be able to lead their digital co-workers in the right direction, that's becoming increasingly important. I said something has shifted, and it has, and it is difficult to comprehend, and it's difficult to convey how big of a shift this is. I think one of the main things that I want to bring forward is that this is a superpower for innovation, but it really needs to change the way you operate. And how we talk about it right now is that your next competitor is likely not going to outthink you, but they're going to be more resilient to change. They're going to be better at adapting the processes, the new tools, the new technology. They won't outthink you, but they will likely outchange you. That's where the competitive power now is, and being able to utilize this tool that we've been given in a good way and in a way that makes sense for us. There's a lot of things to talk about in this area, and I really look forward to both Vicky and Gina's speech as well. Thank you so much for your time, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.